do you like better, business or real estate?
Well, the last 4 or 5 years, I probably like real estate better, but besides those last 4 or 5 years, I would say I probably like business better. I'm going to eventually probably like business better again because business is, you can just make so much more money so much faster in business. My average, property right now, my fix and flip is probably making in the $30,000 range.
Yeah.
My average, but it's a lot of work every time you do it. You have to recreate it every time.
Yeah.
My average buy and hold, is making a few $100 a month. I have a lot of them, so it adds up. But it's a grind, The way you make a ton of money on buy and holds is not really by owning them and cash flowing. You make a lot of money when you sell them.
Yep.
That's how I made all my money on all my buy and holds. Luckily, I've had stuff since 1998. As I sell them, that's where I make the big money. But with business, you can make big money right away. Like my businesses all make 20, 30, 40, 50,000, some of the good ones, in the hundreds of thousands a month. And you can just do that over and over and over. And once you have everything in place, it's not a grind anymore. It just keeps going. You have other people in charge.
Yeah. So what are some of the businesses in your portfolio right now?
So right now, like you said, I have a whole bunch of escape rooms still, a lot of axe throwing companies. I have putt-putt golf place. I have a whole bunch of trophy stores, 6 different trophy stores, engraving. I have a bunch of different real estate businesses, tree company. I have a whole lot of martial art gyms, arts and crafts studios. It's kind of like a little bit all over the place, but I am going to start focusing a lot on home service stuff.
Yeah.
So next year you're going to see me acquire a lot of home service stuff. I have like a lot of crews that work for me full time with my fix and flips, and when I'm not using them, I have them do other stuff. But we could do painting, really anything, flooring.
Yeah. So would you say that's more like a GC?
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna buy exact businesses that only do fences or only do landscaping or only do paint, and I'll have HVAC companies. So I'll basically accumulate a whole lot. That's kind of my game plan for.
Are you gonna do it everywhere or just in Atlanta?
I'm gonna start off just doing it in Atlanta because it's really easy for me. I'm there. I have all my connections, all my people there. But potentially down the road, I have partners in other places. It might make sense to grow it to other cities.
Got it. So are most of your businesses in Atlanta or?
So actually, no. Most of the businesses that I've acquired lately and that I am actually in charge of, I would say yes, are in Atlanta. But I have lots of partners in a lot of my businesses. I would say 90+% of my businesses, I have partners. And I have the businesses where my partners are. So I have businesses in Kansas City, I have Chicago, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Florida, really all over, Arizona.
So what's your role? If they're over there operating, what did you do in the deal? Yeah.
So my role is always to find the deals, underwrite them, negotiate them, and talk to the sellers, work out the how we're going to do it because I don't pay cash for anything. I always get good creative deals, so I work out all that, the terms and everything, and then once I have that done, my partner usually handles the operations, and he's not really in the locations, but he is in charge of the managers. And then a lot of times I have a third partner and that will handle like accounting, marketing, anything legal, stuff like that. So it's broken up just based on who my partner is and what they're good at.
Okay. So would you say most of those businesses you bought them or you built?
So all like the trendy fad stuff, I built most of that and I bought some competitors at some point. But most of I would say every business I have that's not like a fad or a trend or something like new, I bought all those. It's really stupid to start a business, honestly, unless it's something that you see doesn't exist and is doing really well in other cities, other states, other countries. Then those are worth trying. But besides that, you should definitely buy someone's business.
Yeah, I've done a lot of different businesses and I've actually just always started them. Yeah. But, I'm in a kind of a different boat with brand and online and stuff like that. But yeah, the more I've thought about it, it's like, it's interesting because I separate real estate and normal business, right? Because with real estate, it's like, you don't really need to buy a business. Like it's just, anyone can start today and start your business. Whereas everything else, like, you want a home service company? Well, it's hard to go get those clients, to get the people, the equipment. Like you're just so much more fast track buying it versus, like with real estate, back to that, it's like you don't need anything.
Right. Exactly. So all the businesses that I didn't start that, it's real estate related. Yeah. It doesn't make sense to buy somebody else's wholesale business. You can start your own. Like, what are you buying exactly?
Yep.
What you have is incredible. Like you can't buy that off someone. I mean, this is your brand. This is, your program, everything else. That's something that you got to be good at. You got to be smart. You got to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And this is something why you would start it.
Right. So why home services? Why is that the next arena?
I like home services a lot because I think that it's always going to be needed. No matter what, people live in a house or rent a house, and everyone needs stuff fixed all the time. When the economy is really good, people are building tons of homes, so that's needed. Plus, because I'm in real estate, I could use those companies to save me money on my own stuff. So I could give these new companies I buy a lot of business, and vice versa. I could now potentially cut some costs because I have a business that can do it on a larger scale.
So what do you think is like the most lucrative business you currently own?
It changes, based on the economy and stuff. But, for a long time, it was my entertainment stuff. The axe throwing and escape rooms were making like crazy money. I mean, I had months where each location was making a minimum 50,000 to 150,000 profit, like each location. And I had 17, axe throwing, 16 escape rooms. So that's, a lot. But after COVID, that kind of came down a lot. And then some of the real estate stuff picked up and was doing a lot better. But, if you count the lending as a business, I would say the lending's probably making the most now. That makes like a lot of money. It's so needed. And it's I set such a good system together in place that it works really well, and I can have somebody else run it all.
So explain the lending business, how it works.
Yeah, the lending business, basically I'm lending money to people that need money for fix and flips.
Right.
So anyone that's buying fix and flips, it's instead of going to a hard money lender, I'm basically a private money lender, and I loan to everyone in Georgia, mostly Atlanta, but definitely anywhere in Georgia. And I am loaning them at, let's say, 18% annually, and I'm paying my investors or using my own money. And if I'm paying investors, I'm paying them 10, 12%. So I'm making 50, 65% on every loan, and the people keep the loans going. And I buy so many fix and flips in Atlanta every single month that I know the market better than anyone.
Right.
And I know what I can lend. So I lend the amount that I know if someone doesn't pay me, I'm more than happy to take the property back, and then I'll fix and flip it myself. So my default rate's like almost nothing. I've probably done a few thousand loans over the last 5 years. And I've only had to actually foreclose and take over 2 properties. But when I took them over, I ended up making an extra 25, 30.
You made more.
Oh yeah, I made more. I've started the foreclosure process probably, I don't know, maybe like 15, 20 times. But all the other times people came up with the money before the foreclosure or sold me the house or something. They have too much equity. And I know what the homes are worth. You loan them the right amount, they're gonna pay you.
What's your usual loan to value ratio?
80%. So I'm paying in Atlanta 80% minus like rehab. So if a home is worth 100,000 fixed up and it needs 50,000 to get it ready, so I'm basing it as is at 50,000, and then I'm taking 80% of that. So I'll loan like 40,000, let's say, on something like that. Using small numbers to make it easy.
Yeah. So how would they get the rehab costs? They got to cover that.
So most of the people that I lend to have some money. So they use their own money for rehab, or they get a second position loan.
Got it.
But you don't want to lend to people that are flat broke. That's where you're going to have problems. So most of the people I lend to want to just do multiple rehabs at a time. So they have enough money to do 1 or 2 maybe with their own money, but they want to do 6. So, they use their money for the rehab, and then I'm funding that's the typical lender that I loan to.
Right. That makes sense. So, I mean, you did a lot of trends.
Yes.
Over the years. I remember you telling me like you killed it with gold.
That was my biggest.
That was your first business.
Yeah. It was my first. It was my biggest.
Yeah. Tell people about that. That was a funny story.
Yeah. Gold's crazy. So the story on that, I was first in baseball cards and got into Beanie Babies and got into Pogs and got into Power Rangers and the Webkins and all these different things that were super hot. But I always stayed in contact with all the people that I dealt with all over the country. And one of my buddies is like, man, we did Beanie Babies together and all this stuff, but like I'm getting into gold and I've been crushing it. This is back in like 2006 or something. And he said, man, gold was $300 an ounce, like literally a few months ago. Now it's $700 an ounce. It's crazy. It over doubled. I've been setting up at these hotels, putting up ads in the newspaper to come to these roadshow events.
Right.
And I've had people lined up. I've been buying their gold for 30 cents on the dollar. I'm buying tens and tens of thousands of dollars each day. I'm like, come here, let me show you what it's like. And you should do the same thing, all over wherever you can do it. So he was doing it in New Jersey at the time. So I flew there. I was like, holy crap, this guy bought like $100,000 worth of gold. He was making a few $100,000 a weekend.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I'm sold. I don't know anything about it. He taught me a little bit. And, but I was like, you know what? I don't want to like reinvent the wheel every single weekend, like, and have to go to different hotels and put new, ads in every newspaper. Is expensive. Why don't I just get like a store and have people come right to the store, and I could advertise to the same store over and over? He's like, yeah, I mean, I never thought about that, but you can do it. So that's what I did. And I was probably the first one in the country that had We Buy Gold stores. Now there were pawn shops and there were jewelry stores, but nobody had just a store that had a table and We Buy Gold, and that's all they did. So I started that. Within the first like month, people were just coming in and I was crushing it. And I went from like one store to two stores to like.
So how much were you paying per ounce and then selling it for?
I mean, I was paying about 30 to 35 cents on the dollar for it. Yeah. But people were happy. First off, most people bought gold when it was $300 an ounce or less at the time.
Now, when we're talking about gold, are they selling like their necklace or bars? Like, what are they doing?
Mostly necklaces and rings and bracelets. And
do you like melt them?
Yeah. So first off, you have to figure out what carat they are. So there's 10 karat, 14, 18, so on and so forth. 24 karat's pure gold. If something is 24 karat, there's nothing in it but gold. Anything that's less than 24 karat is mixed with other metals. So like 14 karat is 58.3% gold. How do I know that? You take the carat and divide it by 24, and that's the percentage of gold that's in there.
Right.
So what you do is you figure out what carat is, and then you pay based on that. But after I bought everything, I would send it to a refinery. They would melt it all, give me a test of what how much gold actually is in there, and then they'd pay me on it. And literally, at one point, I was sending like tens of millions of dollars of gold every single month to these refineries. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
How did you get all the capital to be able to buy tens of millions of dollars of gold?
Yeah. So, like I said, I made and saved $1 million by the time I was 19. And then that was in baseball cards. So I made a lot of money in baseball cards when I was younger. Then I got into Beanie Babies, and I ended up making over $10 million in Beanie Babies, saved it all. So this was, the next 5-10 years. And then gold came a little bit after that. So I already had, at least $10-20 million to work with when the gold came. I had a partner, and he also had the same amount of money. So we had a decent amount of money. We started with the gold. After like a year or two, we were doing so well. Our financials were great. We went to a couple of banks. Chase was one of them, Chase Bank, and they gave us a $20 million line of credit on top of what we had. So we had plenty of money. We didn't need $100 million to buy, because we were able to melt it every single week. So we would turn it over and over. Yeah, you
turn your cash quick.
Yeah, we turn it over. But we had a lot of money. But if we didn't have money, I could have got investors. I could have went to some banks. I would have had to figure out a way to turn the money faster, something.